Okay, so we are live.
Hello.
Hello, howdy, anybody else there?
Have we anyone in the chat?
I don't see anyone in the chat yet. It's not showing, so it could be that um we're either on time because they're used to me being later, or I know I usually run like a few minutes late.
No, it's like I think we're bang on time actually in this case.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess like where did you want to start with this? Like I know first we were chatting about Jodorowsky, or did you just want to start with the first part? The
Um,
film?
I well, like again, as myself and Kara were discussing beforehand, there's a lot of elements that go into the inception of Alien, and I think obviously you've Dan O'Bannon and Ron Shusett in their script. But the actual thing that brought O'Bannon to Europe
Mhm.
was Jodorowsky's Dune. And I think it was going to be shot in Italy. I could be wrong, Carrie. You probably know better than myself. But he was there and the project fell apart. But while he was there, he made some contacts while he was there, particularly H.R. Giger. Do you pronounce it Giger or Geiger? I always fuck up the
Um,
pronunciation.
I always say Geiger, but I have heard Giger.
I I I remember I done a video before and someone gave me shit for pronouncing it wrong. So I just I don't wanna be seem like the uncivilized schlub
Oh, there's just
pronouncing
being a
it
butthead.
incorrectly. Um but yeah, he met he met he met Giger there. He also met I think Mobius. Mobius was doing
I remember.
um
Yeah,
uh work for that as well. I think conceptual artwork for that as well.
yeah,
So that was like a big catalyst for him kind of getting the visual bearings of the movie.
yeah. He had
Um,
put a really awesome team together, and then like I know on a side note, Alien did recruit some of those people. They used Geiger. It influenced Star Wars. I mean that film wouldn't have existed even though it was like considered I don't want to say ahead of its time because that's cliche, but it definitely had advancements that no one had seen before.
well, yeah, like you're dead right, Cara, because um, up until then we had gotten sci-fi movies like 2001 and the original Star Trek, which was a very sterile and optimistic. I don't know about 2001, but a very sterile and kind of forward kind of thinking look at
Mm.
space, a very kind of utopian look, whereas Alien kind of pioneered the used future look
Mhm.
of that like ships were just run down and this was essentially a truck. This was an 18 wheeler in space that was hauling mineral ore, and it was run down, it was beat up, and that continued throughout the franchise. The idea that space isn't kind of shiny and pristine.
Yeah.
Stuff is just like the corporation Wayland Yutani cut corners, and like it's anyone who's worked in like a factory or in maybe a docks or in a warehouse. There's that forklift that's been there for 25 years that you have to use, and there's bits of paint coming off it and you have to fucking kind of reconnect the spark plugs every once in a while. It's that kind of feel, and I think they hit the nail on the head of making that
Well,
it was more relatable, I think.
I was also thinking like Wayland. Okay, so was that like a social commentary on how companies exploit their workers,
Oh,
or?
app, absolutely. Keep in mind, we were kind of, it was, well, I say we were, but the United States was still kind of coming to terms with Reaganomics
Mm-hmm.
and corporations and stuff. It wasn't, you weren't in the kind of Gordon Gecko era, but you were getting there. And the idea that companies only saw human beings as figures on a spreadsheet. Mm, that was very much a thing that was the kind of, it was in the zeitgeist at the time. People didn't trust companies and corporations at that time, you know.
Yeah. Well, especially when people were getting laid off left and right. And I think even then, as you mentioned, companies were cutting corners.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, that's played forward by the characters of Parker and Brett. These two grease monkey kind of oil rags. These average dudes who work work for the company, and they're constantly giving out about their wages and their bonus situation and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, these guys know if they don't keep on top of it, they're going to get screwed over, because this is what companies do. And again, it makes it very relatable. It's hard for someone to relate to Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek, but we all know those guys from work who just
Mm-hmm.
bitch about their wages and their hours. So that's what I think was a stroke of genius for the whole kind of concept of Alien. It was truckers in space. It was blue collar workers in space.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to look into it that, I mean, okay, some people say sci-fi gothic horror, but there's definitely layers to it. There was even that sex positive scene that had been deleted from the movie where I forget her name. She's the blonde actress. Um,
Oh, Veronica Cartwright.
yeah. And, she's just rattling off like it's totally nothing. But I mean, you have to remember sexual revolution at that time also.
Yeah, it's the scene, her and Ripley are talking about Ash and if she slept with Ash and stuff, and they did go in depth. Scott kind of in a commentary on that deleted scene, and there's another deleted scene where a it was a screen test for Ripley where she has sex with Dallas, and
Mm,
it's just like, the idea was, well, these people are up in his ship for like maybe the bones of 15, 20 years, and now they might be on ice for most of that, but like kind of sexual liaisons are going to fucking happen, and it's
mm,
the norm. As you said, it was kind of a very kind of sex positive kind of thing. Another thing that and this is kind of a real nerdy fan thing, but if you look on any of the expanded media or any of the things about Veronica Cartwright's Lambert, um, that character, her gender was changed at birth. So that's something else that was also interesting, that the character was a transitioned human being, and that was the norm at the time. I think that's also an interesting fact to look at, that Lambert is a transitioned from childhood. Now, whether that's a good or bad thing that the parents decided that, but it just kind of also put forward the idea that, like, in the future you can pick the gender of your kid, and
mhm,
that was just interesting as well to me. But yeah, it was a different view of the future, and you kind of got the feeling that, you know, not everything was off the assembly line, and people were just doing their job getting from point A to B, which also lent forward to the idea of how these characters weren't equipped, or they were so ignorant to the predicament they were in, which I also liked. I thought that was cool. That's like, okay, if someone is a xenobiologist, or if someone is like, say, like in the second one, they're Marines, they would have been a lot more cautious. The only character that kind of gives any kind of caution to the wind is Ripley, but she's countermanded by Ash, and that's the other thing I like, that Ash uses the ignorance and the kind of the kind of inexperience of the crew to get his own agenda
yeah.
across. That's what I felt anyway.
Yeah, but Darn it, I had something just right on the tip of my tongue and it left me. Oh yeah, the android, like he was there to be a spy for the company. The thing that made me curious is because there's that pseudo RPE scene, and it made me curious at for a while. I was kind of like, okay, is he that much AI that he thinks he's human? Or is it just like a blending technique? That's why he has all the women's posters all over his cabin.
That is another weird thing as well. Um, that like it's it the maybe the android is so malvoyant that he's reached a level of awareness. He's become an incel. Like it goes from the point of, again, he's an android. He shouldn't be, but he's frustrated by
Mm-hmm.
Ripley, and it's almost he takes it upon himself to have a genuine disdain and willing to kind of uh, commit SA on Ripley. Now, obviously, he can't atomically. He probably isn't able to, but the metaphorical rolling of the magazine and shoving it
Yeah.
down her throat. There's no illusions about what that's supposed to represent. Like, you know.
Yeah, but
So
he's also showing like dominance over her. I guess that goes with that dislike, or
yeah,
just maybe he envies her status on the ship.
yeah. There's definitely something that is it is it a case that it's a malfunction, or is it a case that he is too well built? He is
Mm.
too human. He is too well designed as a human.
Yeah, and then
Um,
there's always that carryover theme where AI eventually just takes on its own mind, and it either attacks or usually just ends bad.
yeah.
But
Again, like the thing is that I think it's not just a case that it's rogue AI. I think it's a case that it's just he is he's trying to do his mission, and
mm,
as a result, there's an overlap where he kind of becomes self-aware. But no, you like as you said, there is that other aspect of it as well, where you do have a malvoyant AI kind of come into the forefront.
yeah, I mean it's a great scene because you can interpret it, in my opinion, at least 4 or 5 different ways. Because it still drags the company aspect into it, like the
Mhm.
corruption because he was there to spy on them. Then there's that curiosity of, has he advanced? Does he actually envy Ripley, or does he just mean her harm? Um, or is he just developed enough to where he actually can lust after someone?
Yeah, it's they kind of they kind of hint at that in Prometheus and Covenant.
Mm,
Um, but I think for this time in this movie, it was interesting to pose the questions. I think some mysteries are better left unsolved, and they're
mm-hmm.
more tantalizing that we can have a kind of discussion and a debate about this. I
Yeah.
think if you get all the answers, it takes all the good out of it. You
Yeah,
know.
most, and I speak for myself, but I don't like being spoon fed a story. Like I like how they left it open ended,
Mm.
because it leaves me, how, why this, who's behind this, like what's the actual motive, and then why did he react this way. It just leaves me with so many questions, to where I could probably just do a scene analysis off of just that one scene in the movie.
I have a question for you, and while Dan O'Bannon probably not the best kind of fantastic writer, probably not the best individual for feminist kind of pushing a kind of support for feminism. Ronald Shusett, on the other hand, was the suggestion on making it the Cain being the one getting infected and not a woman. As he said, it's very easy. We could have easily had like the guys in the audience leer at the defilement of a woman by an alien creature, but he was like, "Fuck it, no, we're going to make it. We're going to make it a man."
Well, things hadn't even gotten dire yet. He just I mean, to me, it was unexpected. He just turned on her. Like, there
Yeah,
weren't any hints in the movie, like, okay, he feels this way, or he's thinking about it just out of the blue.
they did they did kind of hint that he was a synthetic early on in the movie. There's
Mm,
a moment where the crew are gone out towards the derelict and he's on his own and no one's around and he looks around and he does this quick kind of hyper hyper fast jog on the spot,
mm-hmm.
and that makes you think, okay, what was the fucking deal with that? Is he alien? Is he superhuman? Is there something up? And that puts the seed in the audience head, but it doesn't say it outright. But
Oh,
again, oh, go on.
no, I'm sorry. I was going to say you can also just go the vulgar route where he can't express it biologically, but maybe we're just meant to assume that he was excited.
Yeah, yeah, and like again, going on to that thing as well, his admiration for the xenomorph has a kind of pseudo sexual bearing.
Mm-hmm.
Like his concept, like he says it's the perfect organism, but like he's comparing something that violates another species as the perfect organism. What does that say about him? What does that say about his engineering or his
Mm-hmm.
mentality or his quote unquote ghost in the machine, you know?
Well, I mean, maybe I'm just too left field here, but it also just leaves me with the thought that maybe his creator was a misogynist, and that's why he kind of
And
turned that route.
that could be it. Again, that's something that's kind of hinted upon in Prometheus and Covenant. Not misogyny now, but the fact that say Peter Wayland is has a god complex or has a hubris, and as a result, that seems to bleed into his synthetic creation.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
he was created by man, but man in its own kind of creation is a very kind of flawed creature. So he, in his own right, is superior to it. So again, that's something that's explored now. There's issues with those two movies that I maybe someday down the road we'll get into, but
Yeah.
um, that is something to take into consideration. As you said, maybe there was the creator of the Hyperdyne system was a raving misogynist, and as a result, it carried over into the synthetic.
It kind of makes me curious if Terminator borrowed from that because they were also just corrupt and they had this whole thing about just they eventually just kind of things got out of hand even with their machines, and then they had that human robot war thing going on.
Yeah, I think you can definitely link the two, especially when Cameron helms the second movie, having
Mhm.
helmed the first Terminator movie. Even even as I said before, the make of Ash is the Hyperdyne System 101,
Mhm.
whereas in Terminator it's the Cyberdyne System 101. So that there's obviously a nod to that. There's
Yeah,
also a bunch of comics that connect them, but that's going a bit beyond the pale. But yeah, again, it is. I even back then, even the 80s, the idea of AI and artificial intelligence was fucking terrifying. Like it's
yeah.
terrifying now, but like back then when they had no real grasp of it, it must have been harrowing to think.
I think at least nowadays, and I could be wrong, that people have become more accepting towards the idea. Like we even have speech to text where it'll the AI in it will adjust your sentence to where it actually sounds better or more well spoken.
Yeah. Like autocorrect and stuff like that. Even the early kind of stuff that we had was AI. Like it's just it's
Yeah.
come a long way, and I think it's just the norm. But back then, I
Hmm.
think stuff like that would have been terrifying.
Well,
Uh,
we also have AI digital manipulation these days, which I'm curious at looking into. I don't know too much about it, but I'd be interested in trying it out.
I I think as a tool it would be handy, but I have some friends who are professional artists, and they're very kind of dubious and worried about it because you don't want to be replaced by a machine. And the
Hmm.
other thing is, the AI, the kind of system, AI art programs and stuff, they basically scour the net and cherry pick elements from art to make quote unquote original art. But it's just picking different styles and different images
Pirate.
and extrapolated them together. So it's not really, I wouldn't be a fan of that kind of AI kind of artwork. But as
Yeah.
a tool, certainly, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in using it as a tool, like maybe just enhancing certain things because
Mhm.
I love digital manipulation, but I'm just curious to see how AI would, if it would actually work well with it, like a companion.
Yeah,
Um,
it's again, it's we're in kind of like uncharted territory with this tech as well.
hmm.
So
But yeah, I wouldn't like the idea of something stealing something from my images. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know how bad it is, but I'd like to think there are certain programs that are more secure to where it doesn't like cherry pick.
the the worrying thing is the guy who came up with a lot of this stuff, the AI art programs and stuff. He says, yeah, this really should be regulated." I was like, "You fucking put it out." Oh yeah, but I didn't think it had developed this quickly. It's like you opened the magic lamp and now you can't put the genie back in and you're giving
Yeah.
out to other people about it.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my reasons for being hesitant, but I mean, it kind of does pull back to that original thought where even modern day AI that can be considered a horror story, even if it like just goes the wrong way. And I know even in the 90s they had stories about it, just things just taking a bad turn.
Yeah, I like I I don't think the downfall of the human race. I don't think it will come with a Terminator kind of robot war. I think it will become as a result of over reliance.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we'll end up kind of requiring AI and artificial intelligence and computers to kind of basically help us in every facet of our
Yeah.
existence, and then some switch will be tripped and it'll all switch off and we'll be like, what the fuck will we do? Like banking and security and just it's just
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of being almost 100% reliant on technology. Now I probably sound like a fucking luddite, but it just takes one wrong fucking flip of a switch or a hacker or a virus,
Yeah.
and essentially we're kind of again. If the fall of man happens via AI, it's going to be because something mundane goes wrong. I don't know who, but there's a famous quote. Um, the end of man will not come with a bang but a whimper. And I think it'll be like that. I think we'll wake up one morning and the fucking shower won't turn on and the phone won't turn on and we can't access our bank account. And I think that's what's going to be the robot apocalypse.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it's still new, so it's really hard to predict if it would go that far, but I can still see like the hesitation or the anxiety because potentially it might do that. We don't know that yet.
Yeah. Um.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of like what I think the whole thing with the android is he just kind of went sour.
Yeah. It was a flip of a switch. Maybe it was like maybe Ripley pushed him to kind of glitch out by fucking kind of countermanding him and stuff like that. But
Hmm.
But it was if it hadn't been Ripley, it would have been something else.
Yeah. Um, what did you think about the chest burster scene?
That was fantastic. Um, I liked the fact that bar John Hurt, none of the cast knew what was going to happen. Um, it was clever as well because it like they could have had it happen in the med bay or like when they brought Kane in, but it was while they were in the middle of eating. It was in the most
Mm-hmm.
visceral, unpleasant location for an incident like that to occur. And
Um,
I thought the guys um picked the perfect time to have that happen. Like you at first you think that he's choking on food,
yeah.
and then the violent kind of retching and stuff, and it's like, okay, you're like, shit, what's happening here?
Yeah, I think
And
someone commented that if the food was bad or something like that.
yeah. So there's other elements that could make you think, that could throw you off and go, okay, well, is he having a reaction to the food, or is just has
Mm-hmm.
the thing poisoned him or something? But then it emerges, and the cast are in so much shock. Veronica Cartwright slips. If you see, they have a full cut of it,
Mm.
the cast reaction. Veronica Cartwright slips in the blood, and all
Mhm.
you can see is her cowboy boots just shoot up
Oh,
behind the table.
I don't
Um,
remember that. I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for it.
it's basically on the full reel. The on the special features, I think, of the quadrilogy, there's
Oh, okay.
a reel that just shows everyone's raw reaction,
Mm-hmm.
and she slips in the blood, and yeah, it comes out, and Parker has a knife, and Ash stops it. And again, we already see we're, that could have easily been another clue to like Ash wants to protect the alien, but Scott was clever of dispersing the scene earlier on with the facehugger bleeding the acid.
Yeah.
So we're like, Ash isn't doing it to protect the creature. He's doing it so blood doesn't go all over Parker or all over the ship. So that's clever as well. That's a kind of
Yeah.
subterfuge.
Um, excuse me. So it kind of makes it sound like somebody snuck a face hugger onto the ship because it just came out of nowhere. But for the guy to not have noticed or gone into that coma state, it's kind of like, well, I guess those rules were set later because the guy was still moving around like nothing happened or something just got planted in him, like he was, got the short end of the straw.
Well, like again, they go aboard the derelict, and Kane, as I said before, the thing is, if someone was going to be super anal about this movie, they could go, "Oh, they were fucking idiots. Why is this idiot looking into this fucking egg and stuff like that?" And go,
Oh yeah.
these these people are a commercial flight crew. They're a blue collar commercial flight crew in charge of a towing vessel. They're not scientists. They're not soldiers. They're not xenobiologists. They are truck drivers.
Mm-hmm.
And Kane looked in. He got infected. Um, he was brought back, and Ripley, again, is the only character with the shred of common sense. She tells Dallas there's a 24-hour quarantine
Yeah.
period. You
And they
can't.
ignore it.
Yeah, that Ash ignores us. Ash is the one who opens the airlock. Um, in the extended cut of Alien, Jeez, I'm mentioning Veronica Cartwright a lot lately in this fucking stream. Lambert
Mhm.
comes in, and she slaps the shit out of Ripley. That's a scene that I think that should have been left in the theatrical cut.
Hmm.
So again, it's uh, it, that scene with Lambert attacking Ripley, that would have been a distracting element to the situation. So we would have been focusing on the drama between the crew, the kind of the anxiety and the conflict between the crew. So while we're turned left, we're not paying attention to certain things. For example, if you look on the monitor, and again, you have to be a super sad alien nerd bastard like me to miss this. You can see the ovipositor of the facehugger depositing something
Mm.
down Kane's tract. Now Ash is looking at it. The rest of the crew are fucking commenting on how to get it off, or they're arguing with each other. So again, that's another fantastic element. You could you could say, oh, this crew is stupid, this crew is inexperienced. These people aren't trained for this situation. They're not trained to recognize what's happening on the screen. Ash is a doctor and a synthetic, so he knows what's fucking going on. But this crew doesn't, and that's clever. You get like, did you feel that that what happened to Kane, that was stupid, that was cliched, that the character was stupid enough to look into the egg, and the fact the crew were stupid enough to bring him back? Or
I
did
would.
you realize
Hmm.
that these people were blue collar workers on a towing vessel? They weren't scientists. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean the fact that they're regular Joes, I wouldn't really put too much thought in it because we wouldn't really have much of a plot if they were better versed.
Yeah,
But as far as peeking into the egg, I mean that's understood that it's a plot point, like just to move the story forward. If he never did, we wouldn't have an alien story.
yeah,
But I wouldn't say he was dumb. I just say it's just regular curiosity. Like, what is this thing? Like, is it biological? Is it because
is
it's
it an
kind of,
animal? Is it a plant?
yeah, yeah, because it kind of does have. I could be wrong, but kind of has like a tulip shape to it.
There is the interior of the egg was made with a thing called Nottingham lace, which almost looks like a flower, but it's actually the stomach of a cow.
Ah,
And they had some of it refrigerated, and some idiot unplugged the fridge on the set. And suffice to say, the smell was not pleasant.
oh yeah.
But the Giger loved the look of it, and he went in and he dressed the egg, and he wanted to look like a
Mm-hmm.
flower. He wanted it to look like a grotesque
Improvise.
flower. Um,
Well,
the
and even then, it's kind
Yeah,
of like I keep side
originally,
digging.
ori- go on, Kara. Sorry.
No, I'm saying I kind of keep side digging. Kind of like if it's designed to look like a flower, okay, could you say that the little face hugger, he's probably like an extension of the pestle, which is like the equivalent of the male anatomy, and that's why it impregnates people.
Yeah, that's another thing that again, Geiger could have probably come to the same surmisation, and that's why he dressed it that way as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, the dude was very kind of, his stuff was uh what was the term he used? Uh, Biomechanical erotica. I
Yeah.
think that's one term he used for it. And
Yeah.
originally, originally he wasn't meant to design the alien, right?
No, I don't recall who was supposed to be.
Okay, so Geiger was supposed to design the landscape, the ship, and the jockey, the dead jockey. Carlo Rambaldi was supposed to design the full alien. He ended up designing the mechanism in the head, but they weren't sure on how to do it. Originally, originally he had different ideas, and Scott had different ideas. They were going to get a contortionist and tie a little person to the contortionist's back
Huh.
and have it like that. And they had just other different ideas, but for a finish, they turned around like to Giger and said, "Can you please design the
Yeah.
creature?" He's like, "Okay, I'm not going to be able to start from scratch So we're going to use something that already exists. And I think it's Necronomicon. There's an image. I think
It
it's
has a number that's part of it. I know that.
yeah. It was an existing image in his book, in his art book. So they made that uh, verbatim, and that's what we got. And that the creature was played by a Nigerian dancer by the name of Balaji Bohe. I think that's his name. I'm probably butchering the name. Apologies. Uh, but Balaji Bohe. I think that's his name. But he Scott met him in a pub one night and saw this like 6.5 foot tall Nigerian ballet dancer, and he's like, "Do you want to be in a movie?" And he's like, "Okay, yeah, no bother." So he brought him over, and he got on with Scott really well, and he used to feed Scott's he used to feed Geiger's cat as well, and that's kind of what endeared him to that.
Hmm.
But sorry, I'm after segueing totally off the beaten track.
No, I'm like, no, it's all right. It's just kind of like, okay, I don't remember any of this, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, like, is this part of the movie, or did I just kind of like take the wrong exit on the freeway?
No. I kind of, when we were talking about the egg, I kind of I just it reminded me about the creature, how
Hmm.
how Geiger was not supposed to design the creature. He was only
Yeah,
supposed to design elements to the exterior and interior of the ship.
yeah. I mean, the if the whole thing was using a contortionist and then a little person as the creature, I'm like, that just sounds like a mess.
They tried different things, and even they filmed some really kind of bizarre things as well. There's a scene, or the introduction to Lambert and Parker's death has the alien on its back doing a crab walk,
Hmm.
like basically like walking walking with its back to the ground, and it's using its legs, and it looked bizarre. Not in a
I don't
scary way. It looked shit.
Exorcist.
Yeah, the Exorcist done it right. This looked absolutely, I don't know. I think they were throwing shit at the wall to see what it'd stick, but
Yeah.
it removed any kind of aspect of terror or kind of
Um,
menace from it.
because my first thought is, wouldn't the head make it difficult to do the crab walk?
You know what he was basically? His butt and his back was facing the ground. The head
Mhm.
was facing forward, and
Ah,
hang on, I'll just give me 1 second. I'm just going to show you an image. I'm not going to. Um.
yeah,
I'm
because
not. I don't.
the
I don't. I
closest,
don't. I don't want you to get copyright. Tinamajigged.
because
Is
the
there a?
the best I can think is the alien's head had flipped around, kind of like how owls have that illusion of that the head turns all the way around.
Um. Kara, I'm going to share an image here now. Uh. Just again, it's a really small image, but it's to just try and give you a look at how it would have entered. I don't know if you can see that there.
I don't have a screen share that's come up.
It should have.
I'm not seeing
Oh,
anything.
hang on. There now.
No. I even tried changing the layout, but it looks like on my end it stayed the same.
Okay. It's all right. So, um.
Yeah. I mean, I'm on mobile, so I know that app doesn't work quite the
Okay,
same as
okay.
computer.
That might be it. So, okay. No, essentially, you can look it up online. The seed was the scene was kind of shortened to remove that because it looked very silly.
Mm-hmm.
But, but so yeah, the chest burster escapes and it decides to take off into the bowels of the ship, and our characters only think they're after a small life form. And at the same time, as well, there's an issue because the ship has a cat that's
Oh yeah, Jonesy.
Jonesy is loose in the ship, and they have a motion tracker to track the alien, but they can't properly track it until they catch Jonesy and put him in his cat box. So Brett decides to go after him, and he's the first to encounter the adult version of the xenomorph. And like, did you kind of guess that where this scene was going?
No, I don't. I don't really think I did.
Because like the him going off on his own, and you're just like, oh, you know. I,
That
I
well, it kind of makes you wonder, like, why are you wandering around? Yeah.
I suppose at the same time, on the first viewing, the audience, like the characters, don't expect it to have metastasized or grown to such a size in such a short period of time either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do remember being surprised by that, especially when he was full grown. And even though you can tell it's a guy in a suit, it's kind of like I don't mind that because the story draws you in.
I I think the whole Deus Ex Machina for that is you can say, well, it was birthed from a human. And again, this is just my kind of head canon
Mm-hmm.
and kind of the lore of it, that it takes on aspects of the host. Well, it's man shaped because it was birthed from a human being. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of how I let it slide, you know.
Yeah.
Um the original cut was much gorier, but they actually cut away a lot of things. Um One scene that was actually reused later on um is when Parker's attacked, its tail goes between his legs. Now
Mm.
that scene was cut, but it was repurposed for Lambert's death, and that was to give a sexual connotation,
Oh yeah.
uh, an idea of the xenomorph kind of does essay on Lambert.
Kind of like
Um,
flipping the willy or something.
yeah, yeah, like the whole thing is, well, if it's able to violate a male in this form, what the fuck is it going to do to a woman? Like, you know, that's
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. Um, did you think that it like did it help that you didn't see it all that much, or do you think the quick flashes kind of aided? Because as you said, it was a guy in a suit,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that it only appeared fleetingly, did that help?
I think it adds to it because your imagination, you can picture like how big this thing is or what it looks like. When they actually showed the full view, I was kind of like, I was happier not really knowing what it looked like.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the original. Yeah, I remember seeing this and thinking, how many arms does it have? How many legs does it have? Does it have two tails? What are those things coming out of its back?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's kind of weird. Like it is cool that it's hidden, but it's also like the design is so fantastic. You want to see more of it. That's what I think,
Um,
anyway. You know.
yeah. Um, no, I get that. Yeah, because when I finally did see it, I had watched the first movie for like the first time when I was in college when they released that Alien Legacy.
Yeah, the box set.
Mm-hmm. Which I mean, I still think it's beautiful, but I have the quadrology also just because I wanted to watch the alternate cuts, but um like just left field. I mean, like my favorite scenes are the dinner, like the Last Supper type thing that they played
Mhm.
on. And then I like Ripley's escape. I like there's so much tension. It's kind of like I believe it.
Qu- Um, Question for you: do you think I like the inclusion of the scene, but it definitely messes with the pace? I'm jumping all over the place. Am I jumping all over the place with this, or did you
No,
want to
no. I
go
mean
in a plan?
we both kind of are. So I mean it's not a big deal.
In Ripley's escape, in the director's cut, they added in the cocoon scene with
Mm,
Dallas, and this scene, people were like excited for seeing this scene being reinstated. I like the scene, but it definitely, I think it hampers the tension. Do
mhm.
you know the scene I'm talking about?
I'm really not. I'm sorry.
No, 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 you're okay. So the ship is in, like, if they had put it before the scene, but Ripley activates the self destruct and she's bombing it. She's trying to get off the ship and she climbs into like a sub vent and she
Hmm.
finds Ash and Brett, Brent, Brett cocooned to the wall, and like she ends up mercy killing them both. And while that's a powerful scene, it detracts from the fact that the ship is going to blow up and
Hmm.
you better get your ass out of here, whatever state those guys are in. uh
They'll go up with the bomb anyway.
yeah, yeah, so like mercy killing them isn't going to fucking, it isn't going to fucking make the situation any better. um
Yeah.
I love the scene, but I just felt it really hampered the tension. So
Yeah, I
I
can like it just kind of made it drag a little bit.
mm, um yeah, like the characters are killed off systematically. As I was saying, like Dallas, who I think a lot of people went into this movie because if you look at the credits, Tom Skerritt's name appears before Sigourney Weaver's,
Hmm.
and you're like, oh, this dude, this is the guy we're following, and like when you first saw Alien, like, were you aware of Sigourney Weaver as the main character, or
Um,
did you been blind, or like when you watched it first, did you think the guy with the beard was the main character, or what did
I
you think?
I didn't really take it that way because Sigourney has about equal amount of screen time, but I mean she seems to be the lead, so I just figured, okay, well it's her story. Like it becomes later obvious.
Yeah, because like I think they done a clever thing. While Ripley did the right thing by keeping Dallas and Lambert and Kane outside the ship during the quarantine, that was, I think, that was done to show her competence, but I think it was also done to kind of make the audience go, okay, well, this one's a fucking roaring bitch. I hope she dies first. That's what I took from that. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, I just understood it as she's just very by the book, like kind of like doesn't want to do this wrong, doesn't want to do that wrong, and I just assumed that she was in charge of the ship.
Yeah, she was saying, like, after Dallas and Kane, Ripley was the warrant officer, so she was next in charge. So that would make sense. Um, I think it was also, that scene was also just done to make people not like Ripley and think, fucking this one's gonna bite the bullet. And then when Dallas dies in the vent shaft, people are like, well, if this fucker's dead, no one's safe. You know
Hmm. Yeah.
that that's what I felt, but I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, overall, it does a really great job of building the tension. I think with the cuts that you've mentioned, it kind of flows well. Like it doesn't really let up too much. It doesn't even have humorous scenes, so you don't have like that break of relief. It just keeps you
Oh
like
yeah, it's
just
pulse pounding.
focused. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um.
Um, yeah, I know the first time I watched it, I was thinking this movie's too clinical. Like it's kind of dull, but it's kind of like, especially with myself when I went back and watched it a couple of times, I'm like, oh, I see what they were doing, or hey, this thing makes me curious.
Is there any scenes in it that you think hampered the movie?
Mm, not that I can think of. Not right off the top of my head. Because even the dinner time, which is when people are supposed to sit and relax, and even that's disturbed.
Yeah. There's no lull, as you put it. It's just chop, 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 scenario to scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Ash's turn. Again, we've talked about this. Um, Ash was not in the original script. Walter Hill and Stephen Geiler put him in there, and Dan O'Bannon begrudgingly admitted that it was a good addition. So originally there wasn't supposed to be an android in the movie, and I'm glad they put it in because, like, the situation's bad, the things have gone to shit, and then to add this problem from left field, that
Yeah,
there's
just crank
also
it up a little more.
yeah, there's a psychotic robot along with this fucking alien killing machine on board the ship. What the fuck do we do? I think that was really clever.
Yeah, crazy android with like a non-existing hormone issue that's still reacting to girls.
God damn it. And just the fact as well, to add insult to injury, he uses a fucking porno to try and force kill
Yeah,
Ripley via fellatio with a porno. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's a
yeah.
fucking it's a Freudian nightmare, like,
Well, I mean, he kind of lacks his own battering ram, I guess you could say, but that's the next closest thing that he had on hand, I guess.
Yeah. It is. Oh, we got some. Sorry, I just noticed we got some comments.
Oh,
Um,
mine didn't refresh. I don't see it.
hello. They did some alien comics of a robotic xeno that had artificial intelligence. Yeah, that character is called Jerry. That character is called Jerry. Hey Jen, and Nightwatch says, hey y'all, love the franchise so much.
Awesome. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I can't see the comments on my end, so thank you for noticing that.
I kind of I find I have that problem sometimes with my streams as well. So I always have my phone just opened up in the in the corner just to make sure that the comments are there. But yeah, so by the end, Ripley's left, and she has made it onto the escape craft. She went back for the cat. Kara, if you were on a spaceship that was about to explode, that had an almost indestructible alien killer machine on board, would you go back for your pets?
In my situation, it'd be hard because I've got like a miniature zoo, but it's
Nah,
hard to just leave them.
but you can empathize with why Ripley went back.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say that was a dumb choice because I can relate to it.
So Ripley and Jones make it aboard the Narcissus, which is another little
Greek
in joke.
reference.
Oops, sorry, Kara.
Oh no, I was saying it's a Greek reference for one that's self-absorbed, self-obsessed.
Yeah, and it's also a reference to he wrote Heart to Darkness. Joseph Conrad,
Hmm.
Nostromo, Narcissus, and Sulaco are all ships from Joseph Conrad's Heart to Darkness.
Oh,
So,
okay. I wouldn't have known that one.
but Ripley escapes anyway, and we're given the false sense of security, the kind of the fake out of the third act. And Kara, when you saw this scene, did you think, okay, it's over, aliens dead?
Oh
Rip,
yeah, the surprise where he's kind of like latched onto the side of the escape pod
yeah, he's actually nestled, uh,
inside. Yeah.
yeah, inside the pod. Fun fact. Here's a sucky thing, and again, another nerdy kind of thing. Um, if Ripley had just gone into cryo and fallen asleep, she would have been fine because it actually went in there to die.
Hmm.
That the alien has actually gone in to that little crevasse to die. You know the way certain animals they, like if you have a cat or a dog or
Yeah,
something, that
I've
that
seen that
it's
with cats.
yeah it finds somewhere and it just wants to be left alone to pass on, and that's what it's doing. It's like a bug that just wants to just find a corner and die. Um, Ripley, it it instinctively reaches out for Ripley. She panics, and again, as dire as her situation was in on board the Nostromo, she is now aboard a small vessel,
Hmm.
no uniform. She's basically stripped down to her underwear, and you have this both sexually ferocious carnivorous creature on
Hmm.
board, and you're like, well, how the fuck is she going to get out of this? Like, what did you think of that last act?
That was a surprise to me. I mean, I didn't expect it to be there. I also didn't realize it went in there to die, so that's new to me. I just didn't catch that one.
It it's kind as the movies went on, Scott and other people who've like the lore is kind of there's a handbook and stuff that's explained. But
Mm.
yeah, go on. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying, because yeah, it had just never dawned on me. I mean, I kind of thought, okay, well, Ripley's the last one. I'm not going to let her get away, so I'm just going to sneak in here and I'm going to wait for her, type deal.
Yeah, it's again. You could say that maybe also at the time before this kind of head canon or theory, the solid theory, which has been being kind of considered canon, you could have just said it heard the alarms and it
Well,
kind of sussed out that the something was awry or amiss, and it just climbed aboard the ship and decided to try and make an escape.
mhm. Yeah, I mean that's all about that one. Is I had just figured, okay, well, he's still after Ripley, and it just never dawned on me what it was actually doing.
Yeah, it just wanted to crawl in there and die, be left alone and die.
Hmm. And then she attacks him even more.
Yeah, it's like just leave me alone. But like the way Scott explained it was, and I think that the cocoon scene might have been essential for that. Was it was like a bee. It had stung, it had laid its eggs, and its purpose was served essentially.
Hmm. Yeah, and then that pushes us into the sequel, which I think is really neat, where, okay, not only has Ellen Ripley developed herself as a strong, independent person, and she's, more of the lead here, but even like drawing allusions, Sigourney Weaver, I believe she was an executive producer on that one also. So it's kind of
Yeah,
like the actress herself was advancing along with Ripley.
yeah. As the character grew, so did Weaver's status in Hollywood, and that gave her more leverage and more um kind of custodianism over the character.
Hmm.
Um, so while the first one, while the first one is very much kind of truckers in space and kind of look at kind of corporate greed and stuff. Um, Out and out, aliens is a Vietnam analogy. True and
Hmm.
fucking true. Um, on the DVD of Aliens, uh, James Cameron apologized because he had a brother-in-law who was in the Marines,
Ah,
and his brother-in-law said to him, "Jesus, that's a really shitty way to portray Marines," and Cameron was trying to explain to the brother-in-law, "These are Vietnam era. I was going off at Marines at the time that I was writing this that I'd met after the war. These were Vietnam era Marines. These were draftees. These were guys who had served in country, and there was issues with disciplinary kind of problems, and they just didn't want to be there.
yeah.
Um, Hudson is a prime example of that. He's like 4 more weeks and out. Like, a lot of
Yeah.
soldiers who went into over to Vietnam, they measured their time by how many sleeps or how many kind of trips out into the boonies before dust off. Like,
Hmm.
so the whole thing is that, and also the concept of these guys, like the American forces in Vietnam, we've got the tech, we got the superior firepower. We're America, we're going to kick ass. They
Yeah.
did not understand their enemy. They thought because their enemy was less advanced and not as well equipped, that it would be a mop up operation, which is not the case. And they were fighting an enemy on their territory.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that. It's just on the humorous side, I kind of would have liked to see somebody use their weapon to smoke out of just for the fun of it.
Like Elias in Platoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Like the other thing is, there was another kind of analogy about Vietnam and stuff. While kind of Caucasian men
Hmm.
were draftees. Like the worst case scenario was you're a draftee. Whereas say you were someone of a minority, you might have been you might have been sent to a juvenile detention center or a prison. And you're like, okay, you can spend 7 years in Attica, or you can go over to Nam. And with the characters of Vasquez, Vasquez is
Hmm.
basically someone who was essentially grew up in a juvenile detention center,
Ah, yeah. Okay.
and she was given the option: you can remain here or you can join the Marines. And it's the same with Drake. That's where she met Drake. So that's another analogy in comparison. Like the military at the time were like, hey, you want your sentence cut short? Come over to Vietnam, and you don't have to serve the rest of your sentence. And it was mainly people of Hispanic or African American
Hmm.
ethnicity that ended up having to do that.
I mean, it kind of sounds, maybe I'm overreaching here, but it kind of sounds like a racist tactic, kind of like
Oh,
let's
absolutely.
lessen. Yeah.
That absolutely, absolutely. It's like, you can trick the white boys into going by saying, "Oh, you'll get a college degree in this, like that," whereas people who are on the kind of the lower stratum of society, who get the shit end of the stick, their disadvantage is used as an advantage for the military industrial complex.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, two different ways of waving the carrot.
Yeah. Um, had you a favorite character besides Ripley in the second movie?
Um, I mean, I know Newt's iconic, but I wasn't really too crazy about her. I like I can't remember the character's name, but Paxton, he's just
Hudson.
so Hudson. He does so well at playing a butthead where I actually enjoy hating him. And Vasquez, she's just kind of like, she has her own attitude, she's doing her own thing. So I like the mix of personalities that they have going on.
Yeah, again, they were all kind of the personas of individuals who would have been sent over to Vietnam. You have the draftee, and you have the person who's kind of been sent over as an alternative to serving a sentence. Um, Like the cool thing with Hudson is he does go through a character development, because you have all this fake bravado at the start. There's an extended scene where he's like, "Hey Ripley, don't worry, we're gonna protect you. We got knives, nukes, sharp sticks." He's like fucking saying all this stuff, and like the minute the shit hits the fan, he's like, "Oh man, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do?" And like he fucking
Yeah,
breaks.
tough
But
guy act.
then, yeah, but then when Ripley's like, "Look," as she says, "I've no time for your bullshit. Okay, you need to fucking lock this down because
Yeah.
your attitude isn't going to help. And he grows. He has an arc, and He goes out fighting. He doesn't go out like fucking. He doesn't go out like a chump. He goes out fucking saving the others. So
Hmm.
that's why I like
Um,
Hudson.
he was an interesting character. Like I like that scene where I believe it was him. He was playing with the knife, and I kept expecting him to stab one of his fingers.
Oh, that was Lance Henriksen's Bishop, which we need to
Ah.
talk about as well. So what it's the five finger fillet,
Hmm.
and he stupidly asks, "Hey Bishop, do the trick with the knife." And
Oh
Drake
yeah.
is there, and Drake is the kind of other bully who's like in prison with Vasquez, and he's like, "Yeah, okay, we'll do the knife trick," and he holds Hudson's hand down on the table, and
Oh yeah.
Bishop protectively puts his on top, and like he does the trick. And he's like,
No.
"That's so funny, man. That's so fucking funny." I love that. but
Yeah. I mean, I like how when the speed increases, he really starts freaking out.
yeah, like it's like what the fuck. But I love Hicks, and I love Bishop because again, Bishop is a red herring because we've seen the first movie, and we're like Ripley in this movie. We're like, this fucking synth is up to something. But
Hmm.
you go through the entire movie, there is he was an okay dude. He was actually a genuine kind of he was a genuine dude. And I think it also plays into the personas of Scott and Cameron, where I think Scott is a bit of a someone who is very kind of technophobe. Cameron sees the benefits of technology. He realizes that there's shortcomings, but he also someone who respects technology and sees there's benefits, and he shows that through Bishop. Bishop genuinely is someone someone I say, artificial person who obeys the laws, the Isaac Asimov laws. He can't hurt a human or by mission of action allow any harm to a human, to come to a human, and that's cool. He's a synthetic we wish Ripley had in the first movie, and like there is moments they try and throw us off because like when he's looking at the face hugger, and Spunkmeyer comes up and goes, "That's a real nice pet you got there, Bishop." And Bishop doesn't break his concentration. He's like, it's a wonderful specimen." He's like looking through the microscope, and we're like, "Oh, here we go again." But no, he's on the level the whole fucking time. Like,
Hmm.
did you get the heebie-jeebies from Bishop?
No, I actually thought he was a lot better behaved than the first android. But I mean, other than that knife trick, like which I thought was really awesome. I mean, I didn't really get anything from him like, okay, well, you seem like you're safe, and you don't seem to put off anything where you're going to actually hurt someone. Like he happens to be in a very fun scene. He has a very passive personality.
Yeah, like he's offering. You almost feel sorry for him because like he offers Ripley cornbread and she slaps it away, and your Frost going, "I guess she doesn't like the cornbread neither." I like again. It and it's down to Henriksen because Henriksen said he played it like a child. He played it like he played it like a child, um, that he was when he was 6 or 7, because he suffered at the hands of parental abuse
Ooh.
at his father. His father used to beat the shit out of him, and he never got angry. He never got himself. He never let himself get angry because at the back of his head he kept on telling himself, "Well, I'm going to outlive you, so I got to feel sorry for you," and that's
Mhm.
that's what he worked into the character of Bishop.
That's a
Bishop
better
doesn't.
perspective, yeah.
Yeah, and that's how he approached Bishop. Bishop kind of felt sorry for humans, and he kind of he was interested in emulating them, but he also kind of he also looked at them like gerbils, like, oh, you poor little guys. You know, whereas with Ash, you had nothing but contempt by the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
My my other favorite character is Michael Beans Hicks. Um, I love Bean. He was brilliant in Terminator, and he just brings humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And you kind of really like this cat and appreciate this character because all the other Marines are like, yeah, fucking do this. And the briefing, like they're all like, oh yeah, fucking bug hunt, man, and all this shit. And Hicks is just there with a fag, and he's just like, he's just listening. He's genuinely listening. He's listening to Ripley. He's taking it all in. He
Mm-hmm.
is the consummate soldier. All these, like 90% of the crew of the Sulaco are probably draftees. Hicks, you can see this character as someone who signed up for this posting. So that's why I like that. And Bean's performance and the like I again nowadays people ship everyone, but back in the day I was like, man, I really wish he had survived because there was something between him and Ripley, and especially in the extended edition, Cameron's extended edition, which I think the opposite. I think it is way better than the kind of director's cut of Alien. The stuff that's added into this enhances the movie, particularly with the colony. But also, there's a nice moment between Ripley and Hicks. Ripley's about to get off the dropship to save Newt, and she's like, "See you later, Hicks." And he's like, the way he's covering, he's been fucked up with acid. He's on a shitload of painkillers, but he's like, "Yeah, it's Dwayne. My first name's Dwayne." And she's like, "Ellen, don't be gone long, Ellen." And it's just a nice moment. It's like these people dig each other. I kind of like that.
Yeah. Um, and I forget what they are. Like that. No, I'm thinking the third one where they're like a mining planet. I'm getting myself mixed up.
No, no, you're right. You're right. The the colony does do mining. The third one also has a kind of mining and ore, but this one is also kind of they do prospecting, and oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying okay, but yeah, I think it's the town people that are nearby. They're the ones who do the mining.
Yeah, there's essentially the colony, and this is where the extended. You've seen the extended edition where the Newt's first introduced, right? Where
I haven't.
her parents are the ones who find a ship that Ripley, that Dallas and Kane found in the first one, and it's Newt's father that ends up bringing the parasite back to the colony. Um, there's a really cool comic book by from Dark Horse Comics called A Newt's Tale, which shows what happens between Newt's father finding the ship and Ripley arriving, and it's interesting to show the fall of the colony. But I think that was important to leave that scene in. But you haven't seen that scene, so do you think the movie worked perfectly fine for you without showing that element of how the colonists found the ship and the eggs?
Yes.
Oops, excuse me.
Oh no, I was saying yes. Like I didn't even know about that scene. I haven't seen the extended, so I mean, for me, the original cut works perfect.
Yeah, it's like Cameron had to he made a deal. He cut it, but he got to make two more films for Fox, which were The Abyss and True Lies. So they said, look, if you cut the movie, we'll give you two more movies. We'll give you two more movies you can direct for us, and they can be anything you want. And he's like, grand. But then when it came out in VHS, he asked, could he reinstate it? They're like, yeah, no bother. So
Hmm.
I do think the extended edition, or the special edition as it's known as, uh, is the definitive edition to watch Because it also another element that it leaves out is Ripley's daughter. I kind of skipped over this. Apologies. Um,
No, no, it's all right. Yeah, I know there was just like very, very few little mention of her. Like apparently her daughter died while Ripley was in hyperspace.
yeah, Amanda Ripley, who gets her own adventure in Alien Isolation, which is a game that's really too fucking good
Mhm.
to be a video game. It's fantastic, but we're not talking about video games. I'm not going to nerd out, but yeah, it. I think the removal of that scene as well um kind of hobbled the fact. Now again, it still worked, but it gave us a bit more. It made more sense for Ripley to have a maternal drive, that she had already lost one daughter, so she's going to try her fucking damnedest to save Newt. That's
Yeah.
that's what I think. That benefited from being kept in.
Yeah, I read that into it also, kind of like, okay, well, I don't have my little girl. You're mine right now.
Hmm. Um, there's other stuff that was added, like the sentry guns. That it's not essential. It's cool. You get to see some more weapons from the Colonial Marines, but it's not a fucking deal breaker. Um, So yeah, the mission goes fucking sideways, and they all regroup at the colony because of the battle in the atmosphere processor. The colony is basically going to go nuclear. The kind of the landmass that they're on is going to get obliterated. So they have 48 hours to get off the planet. No, sorry, I said 48 hours. 48 hours. They have, I think, 14 hours to get off the planet,
Mhm.
and their first dropship is destroyed, and the other one is up there, and there's no humans to pilot it. So they decide to organize a mission to use the satellite, the colony satellite, to bring down the ship. And Bishop volunteers to go out, and as he says, it's like everyone's arguing, and Bishop's like shouts up, "Look, I'll go." And Hudson's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bishop should go.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah." It's like, and Bishop is like, "Look, yeah, I know, I'm maybe synthetic, but not stupid." So
yeah.
he ends up going through a pipe to get it, and the colony, the aliens attack again, and our heroes are whittled down, and Ripley and Newt become separated, and only Hicks and Ripley make it to the dropship where Bishop is. Um, is there any elements or moments in this section that you want to discuss?
Not that I can think of, not really. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit hazy on the second one, even though I know I like it better than the first, so I know that makes no sense.
No, but that come here. One thing I'm going to say is right. There has been debates and rankings about this franchise. For me, the Alien movies are the first three ones are the perfect three-course meal. So
Hmm.
I'm not going to fucking say the first one's better than the second one's better than the first, or the third one. It's like what you like and don't like what you don't like. These movies are fantastic in that you have a first one which is a horror movie, the Ghost House kind of
Hmm.
horror movie. Second one's the action roller coaster, and
Yeah.
the third one is the fucking, I don't know,
Yeah,
the
it's kind of
somber fucking,
slow.
yeah. It's I love the third one. I adore the third one, but all three are different enough, but not in a negative way. They
Mhm.
complement each other in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, the third one's my favorite, and it's probably that I'm biased because that's the first one I had seen in theater, the
Mine
other
as
two
well.
are pretty young.
I adore the third one. The third one is essentially an
Mhm.
Umberto Eco story in space. Um, but yeah, it's I would never tell anyone like your ranking is wrong, especially when it comes to this. I have issues with Resurrection, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But but um So yeah, the our characters are whittled down, and Ripley's maternal instincts um come into play. Um, she decides to go back to the atmosphere press processor and rescue Newt. And there's a revelation that there is a scene in the extended edition that where they theorize there's a queen, but in the end, in the kind of the third act or the second to last act, Ripley encounters the queen. Some people like the queen, some people don't like the queen. Some
Mhm.
people like the idea of the egg morphing, where the first alien turned people into an egg or cocooned
Um,
them to turn into an egg.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, I loved the introduction of the Queen. I even have like I don't think they're as popular as they used to be, but I have like that Funko Pop, the Queen in those larger boxes that they would sell them in, and I'm like, I just think she's awesome.
she is badass, and she is a nice nod. Stan Winston made his own creature, but made sure it was Geigerian enough to see, hey, look, this is my own thing, but this is still the realm of Geiger, and it's still we still
Yeah.
owe a bit to him. Um, I I'm a bit flashy. I decided to get myself a comic book, Red Queen from
Mm-hmm.
NECA. Um, I like how fucking weird she looks. But yeah,
Is
no,
it is she just the figure, or did she come with the postulator?
no. I there's a YouTube video on how to make the ovipositor, and I will at some stage if I fucking space, because there is ways to make dioramas and stuff for that. I might someday, but no, she just came as is,
Mm.
and yeah, I love her. She's fucking awesome. Um, but yeah, again, Ripley's confronted with the Queen, and you've kind of got the hint because she picked the atmosphere processor to have her nest. Is it the heat, or did she know it's the one location that was too dangerous to fucking attack her in, that to have her nest? You kind of get that
Hmm.
kind of vibe. And
Oh, yeah,
Ripley,
I get that because she's kind of held in place because she's still doing her thing, so it's not really like she can move around as much until she detaches.
yeah. So she kind of selected this. Did she select this area because she knew it'd be very dicey to try and take her out? Um, but her intelligence and her ability to communicate is established because there's this brilliant bit where she walks in, Ripley and Newt walk into the middle of the egg chamber, and the Queen fucking just the head comes out of the fucking carapace, and the chitin arms come down, and she's looking at him, and Ripley's like, okay, I gotta fucking think quick here. So she fires off a couple of flames and then points it down, the flamethrower down towards the eggs. And the Queen's like, okay, this cunt has got me by the short hair. And she gestures over to some warriors as if to say, back off, this bitch will roast us all. So that does show a level of intellect. And that's
Yeah.
cool because like these guys they don't have to like if the guy the way I theorized it was the one in the ship, the one in the Nostromo, it was on its own, so it needed to have a bit of intellect and be a bit clever. These
Mhm.
guys were part of a hive. They
Yeah.
didn't need to be too clever, they just need to be cannon fodder. And the Queen was doing all the heavy lifting and thinking. So that was cool. The, I
I did I loved those scenes where they were crawling up through the shaft like when they were infiltrating. I'm like, "Ooh, that's creepy."
That was brilliant. That was basically the guys in the suits crawling on the floor,
Mm, oh
and
yeah.
they just flipped the shot upside down. Um,
Oh, okay, they did a Batman with it.
yeah. Um, but I like the fact that the Queen is clever as well, and
Hmm.
it's two mothers doing the exact same fucking thing.
Yeah.
Ripley wants to protect Newt, and the Queen wants to protect her hive, and
Yeah,
then
I
Ripley
mean,
just oh sorry
no, I was gonna say this one speaks more positively about women than the first film did. Like, I mean, both of them are resourceful. They're going to do whatever it takes to get them out of this.
yeah um
So, I mean, I like that addition also, but yeah, like you point out, yeah, they are both moms.
and they're both doing the exact same thing. It's just they're on opposite ends of the spectrum. So Ripley and Newt book it out of there with the Queen in pursuit, and the Queen follows him up, and Bishop is gone. And again, that's another red herring. I remember thinking, oh shit, yeah, fucking synthetic. Never trust him. And then he cruises because I think Ripley's about to throw herself and Newt over the side of the processor
Hmm.
because she doesn't want the Queen to fucking rip them apart or whatever. So she's like, close your eyes, baby. And all of a sudden, the dropship comes up and Ripley
Oh
jumps
yeah.
on, and the fucking the kind of the rear strut gets stuck on the scaffolding
Hmm.
before it takes off, and you don't pay any attention to it in that scene, but they make it back just as the atmosphere processor blows, the dropship docks, and Ripley and everyone. Hicks is unconscious for all this. But yeah, I do feel bad. Michael Dean was at least he didn't die. At least he wasn't killed. Well, we'll
Yeah,
we'll
but
save that for a moment. But he, everyone gets out of the drop ship, and we kind of realize Bishop's on the okay because Ripley's okay with him. He's like, "Did I do okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, you did okay." And I remember thinking that, "Oh fuck, Bishop had a fucking chest burster inside him the whole time."
which
Because
makes no sense.
yeah, it's like, God damn it, this fucking synthetics. You can't trust them. Um, but no, it's the Queen's tail because the clever bitch climbed on when the strut got stuck on the scaffolding,
Hmm.
and it goes after Newt, and Ripley tries to fucking call it after her, and she goes off into the loading bay. And at the start of the movie, we saw that Ripley had been like stripped of her flight license and had to get a job
Okay.
in the docks, and she was using power loaders and stuff. So that's why she's
Yeah.
proficient in using the power. What did you think of that last battle, Kara?
I mean, it was awesome. Even that's iconic. Like, I remember being a kid catching it on TV. Like, it was just the ending half, and my first thought was like, wow, what is all of this? It's kind of like Robot Jocks versus the Queen.
Yeah, it was good. Like it's obvious as well that Cameron is a big fan of anime, Japanese anime, because
Mm.
the power loader is essentially a mech. Ripley's
Ah,
just
yeah.
driving a fucking mech,
Mhm.
and it's cool because again, Ripley is uh, she was at a disadvantage, but at least with the mech, she can go toe to toe with the Queen, and it's a cool battle, and the camera work is fantastic because the cuts between the miniatures and the model, and the the way the power loader was done was it was styrofoam. It was a styrofoam suit with a bodybuilder inside, and the one of the crew jokingly put an inflatable cushion at the back of the seating area, and Sigourney Weaver knew there was a guy inside in the suit, so as a gag they started inflating the cushion periodically, and Sigourney Weaver thought the dude was getting a hard on. Well, she was in the fucking she was on the thing. It's essentially when you're a kid, you stand on your dad's tippy toes. That's kind of how they did it, and it's funny that Ripley thought that was some dude with a fucking boner, kind of just behind her. So yeah, that's how that happened. But yeah, it's a cool battle. Again, the cuts, there's miniatures and there's the kind of suit work, and again, Stan Winston. Stan Winston went from the queen, the test queen was garbage bags, was garbage bag on a fucking hoister rig, and that was that. Carrie, you were gone, but I was telling them as well that the power loader was a dude inside in a styrofoam suit,
Ah.
and one of the guys who was working on the costume, as a joke, put an inflatable kind of thing inside in the cushion
Uh-huh.
and inflated it periodically. And Sigourney Weaver knew there was a guy inside in a suit, in the power loader suit, that she was inside, she started to think that this guy was getting like an erection while he was in the suit behind her, and she was getting freaked out. But it turned out it was just a cushion. It was just the lads messing with the cushion.
That's
But oh, sorry.
No, I'm saying that's funny. So she was getting a bit of the cattle prod, but she didn't realize it was fake.
Yeah, essentially, she's like, "What the fuck is going on back there?" But
I
yeah,
would
no,
have freaked out too. I'm like, what are you doing? And
this
don't touch me.
is not professional. Um, so Ripley manages to airlock the Queen,
Hmm.
and yeah, happy ending. It's a cool happy ending, and for a lot of fans, those are the two movies in the saga, and I don't blame them. I can totally understand
Yeah,
why
me
they don't
as
want
well.
to acknowledge the third movie.
Oh, well, I mean, to me it's hard. The third one's my favorite one. I mean, I even donned the Ripley hairdo at one time.
And the third one is fantastic.
Hmm.
Considering, okay, so there were seven drafts, four directors. Um, it's a movie that shouldn't exist. There was
It
no set script.
almost didn't. Yeah, it got shut down several times and then they'd pick it back up.
Uh,
I think eventually they pulled in Gaspar Noé to just kind of make sense of it as best he could, and it was his first film. So he was trying really hard to not flop, but he was also trying to do something with the mess that was left behind.
Fincher was like, "Fuck this, I'm out." Um, there was numerous versions. First the first version was Vincent Ward's. Uh, and actually, it wasn't the first version. It was kind of the second to last one. There was one set in alien planets, and there was more trying to replicate aliens. Aliens with Reddy Harlem. Rennie
Mhm.
Harlem was going to do one. Um, fucking not Vincent Ward. David Toohey, the man behind Pitch Black. He proposed an idea that Hicks is sent to a military stockade,
Mhm.
but the ship is intercepted by Will and Yutani, and the prisoners are told, "Hey, if you go to the alien home world, we'll commute your sentence." And mainly because of Hicks is on board, and they're told, "Well, the only thing is there's no sun on the alien homeworld, has no sun. So we're going to
Mhm.
have to do surgery on your eyes so you can see in the dark." And Fox turned down the script, and Huey's like, "Okay, but I'm still going to make that movie."
Yeah.
And he ended up making Pitch Black.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
But
Uh,
the other version was fucking mental. I love it, but it made no fucking sense. So instead of arriving on Fiorina, Ripley crash lands on a spherical wooden cathedral in the middle of space, run by monks who do not use any technology that
mhm.
existed beyond the 12th century.
Yeah.
Um,
I know they had like last minute rewrites also to the script, and that's also what added to the chaos. They used like part of an existing script and then they just glued something else to
yeah,
it.
they used Vincent Ward's script. So it was like Vincent Ward was ready to go, got called into Fox, and he's executive like, "Okay, can we change the monks to prisoners?" And he's like, "What? What? We'll leave him bald. We'll leave
Yeah.
him bald, and we'll let him have religion." Okay. And can we change the wooden spherical planet to a penal colony? He's like, "The fuck are you on about? But that's not my movie." He still gets credit. If you still watch any of the versions, his name is down in the script, which pisses him off to no end. Um,
That's an Adam Smithy right there.
Yeah, but again, I think he while it pissed him off, I think he just wanted some credit for some aspect because again, the whole idea, the monastic community was a big part of his kind of script. Now, it changed. It was malfested to something that was nearly unrecognizable, but the DNA of it was still there. Um, uh, Giger was contacted as well to design a newer xenomorph. However, things soured between him and ADI. So what we got is my favorite iteration, though. I like the runner. I think the runner is really good. Kara, question for you: which version have you seen? Have you seen the one where it comes out of a dog or it comes out of an ox?
I've seen the dog. I own both versions, but I haven't gotten around to seeing any of the alternates.
Okay, just a heads up. The alternate again, like the special edition aliens, for me, the go-to version is the extended version because you get 45 minutes more. You get more character development. Um, you get more of an explanation. For example, the version you saw, do you remember the character Golik, the crazy guy who survived the initial attack and is kind of put it into a straitjacket and left in the clinic, the ward of the prison. And he's there when Ripley is attacked. When
Oh, the
Clemens the
hospital scene.
yeah,
Yeah, did you know that scene wasn't supposed to exist? Like they had been told not to film it, they were going to scrap it.
yeah,
And during, I think it was a lunch break, Gaspar and I wanted to say Ripley, Sigourney Weaver, they both snuck in to film it. The one with the close up with the alien and then the extended tongue.
yeah.
Um,
The, that's and that was used for a fucking ton. I do mean an absolute ton of the marketing.
mm-hmm.
the the posters and stuff, and it's a great scene, and it also made people think like it's one of those scenes as well. When you see it in a poster, you're like, how the fuck is Ripley going to survive this?
Right?
Yeah,
But they don't
um,
tell us the twist.
no, they don't, they don't. But as I was saying, the character that's in the straitjacket of Golic, he disappears in the movie,
Mm,
like um and I suppose someone could assume, oh, that the alien killed him as well and took him out, dragged him into the vent. No, he survived because halfway through the movie, the prisoners capture the alien inside in the waste disposal area. Do you remember the plan that failed?
vaguely.
Yeah, that plan actually worked. They actually captured the alien, and um, Ripley contacts Wayland Yutani and kind of bluffs him and says, "Oh, permission to kill the xenomorph." And Wayland Yutani are like, "No, you can't." Golic turns out to have still been tied up in the ward in the straitjacket, and he's pleading with Morse. Danny Webb's brilliant character. I love Danny Webb's character of Morse. He's pleading with him. He's like, "Look, I didn't kill anyone. It was the dragon, the dragon." And Morse is like, "Yeah, okay, I'll cut you loose." Cuts him loose, which is a big mistake. He knocks out Morse, and he's like, "I have to see the dragon. He's my friend." And he goes off and he fucking releases
Oh yeah.
he releases the xenomorph.
So he's that nutter butters. He just thought the thing was a dragon.
Yeah, he's again the whole religious symbolism.
Yeah, that would make sense, especially if it's a religious planet for them to, or I guess for him in his mind, depending however it works, to make that assumption. Because I forgot, I don't remember which saint was said to have battled the dragon.
And Saint George,
Oh, okay.
Saint George. Um, I I don't get why this film gets so much stick. I mean, it's a film that extensively shouldn't exist, but it's a fantastic film, not without its problems, but the cast is amazing. Sigourney Weaver, I think this is her best performance as Ripley. You have Charles S. Dutton. To anyone who don't know, he was Dylan in this, but for kind of lesser known kind of cinephiles, he was Rock in a kind of sitcom series from the 90s. Um, Charles Dance was brilliant in it as Clemens, the 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 medic on the prison planet. He played Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones. You also had John Glover from American Werewolf in London as the superintendent Andrews. Fantastic fucking cast, amazing cast, and I don't get why people don't like this movie. I can I can understand the elements, okay? People would I can understand people have been pissed off because they killed off Newt and Hicks and destroyed Bishop, and they destroyed a kind of established family. It's a very different movie from Aliens. It's essentially a very kind of avant-garde movie, dare I say. It's something it's something that doesn't really, I don't know what the term would be. It's a nihilistic movie. There's very little to take from it.
I've heard it described as nihilistic, and then some people argue that no, it's not, and I forget what other label they give it instead.
Why do you think it gets such a like? I think because of the killing of Hicks and Newt, and that it's too far removed from the the last movie.
On that, I'm really not too sure. Like, I know it's the most different one, but that's also part of why I like it because it's basically we're in a whole different um, universe, I guess. We're seeing something that we've never seen before. The environment's entirely different. Like the first one, okay, they were on the ship. The second one, it was more familiar, but yeah, it was an action film, which made it fun. But it still has a lot of familiar stuff. And then this other one, they just kind of throw you a curveball, and I think maybe that's why people don't like it. Like it's too different, or they find it too depressing.
Like I've heard people say, "Oh, I don't like it because I can't recognize all these bald English dudes. They all look and sound the same." Or it's like, how can I root for, like, the Marines were likable, the crew in Nostromo were likable. These are a bunch of rapists and murderers. How am I supposed to root for these guys?
Well, they can't be likable because it kind of be like turning like if you have a rapist, but he comes in the form of a Care Bear. It makes no sense.
Jesus Christ! I'm getting Company of Wolves flashbacks, Cara. This fucking the Teddy attack in your one.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, I get that as well. But I think it's gained appreciation over the years, and I think the kind of complete cut has helped that as well.
Mm-hmm. See, well, I said out of habit, but I haven't seen like the extended or that full version.
Yeah. It's well worth a look. Again, I would tell people, like, the director's cut of Alien. You don't really need to watch it. If you want, watch it. Do watch the special edition of Aliens, and by Christ, do watch this restored cut of
Mhm.
Alien 3.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's one of my favorites, and I mean, there isn't something in there that I don't dislike. Like I think it has a good even pace. I mean, it moves along well. I don't think it really lags anywhere.
And Cara, the score by Elliot Goldenthal, out of all the movies, that's my favorite score.
Hmm.
Um, just the like, he he was given a brief, And it's like, okay, he's given a brief, and he was trying to think, okay, so how am I going to open this movie? I need to open this movie with a score that just says everyone is fucked. That's that's how he even distorts the Fox logo music.
Yeah.
It gold, like that's one movie I want to try and get on CD, because
Mhm.
it's, or not movie, that's one score I want to get on CD, because it's a fucking gorgeous score.
Hmm. Yeah, it's been a while since I've listened to it, so but I'll take your word for it.
Again, Golden Tall does a fucking amazing job on the music for that. Um, had you any favorite character? Could you have a favorite character in this movie, Bar Ripley?
Not really, but I do like when she goes back and fishes out Bishop for information. I liked that scene.
Yeah, it does show that, like, you're kind of put on edge when Dylan confronts her in the cafeteria, and
Mm.
it's like, you don't want to know me, lady. I'm a murderer and rapist of women. And then when she's about to be assaulted by that gang, he's the one who saves her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like, again, it's interesting that these characters have layers and depth, and it's kind of like easy for like everyone to go, oh, hey, Ripley's here, let's team up, let's what. They don't want her there. They don't
Mm-hmm.
like her. Like fucking Morse. I love Morse. She's like, I've what, like, have you any guns? We got no guns, no ice cream, no rubbers. All we got here is shit. Why are we even talking to fucking Shirley Temple here? Why don't we take her head and run it through the fucking wall? I love that outburst. Danny Webb is, I love Danny Webb in that movie. He's like,
Frustrated much?
yeah, it's he's like the bit where fucking he's like, oh, you guys can sit here on your arse. Oh yeah, what about me? I'm gonna sit here on my arse. And he goes, oh yeah, you're the guy who made deal with God to live forever. I yeah, I love Morse's character.
Well, to me,
Um,
what's weird is like she's on this planet full of villains, and then she just winds up becoming bed buddies with one of them.
yeah, that was another thing that turned people off. Do you want to know a fun little bit of trivia?
Hmm.
Um, so Uh, R- Ralph Brown, he played 85. He was like the second in command, Andrew's second in command. And then you had Paul McGann, who played Morse. And originally, Fincher wanted, oh my God, I'm after forgetting his name, Richard E. Grant. He wanted Richard E. Grant to be Clemens because he loved, I don't know if you're a fan of it, Whitney and I. He wanted the original trio from Whitnell and I to be in the movie. And there is a kind of an audition kind of reel of Richard E. Grant as Clemens, but apparently he was too over the top.
Hmm.
You did you ever see Whitnell and I when you were younger?
The which one?
Whitnell and I. It was a
Mm,
big kind of college movie, a big movie for college students back in the 90s.
I haven't heard of it.
It's about two drunk out of work actors in the 80s, and they go on holiday by mistake, but it's basically Fincher loved the movie and wanted to cast the original trio, but Richard E. Grant was too fucking hyper to play Clemens.
Hmm.
um So the movie concludes with them destroying the runner xenomorph, and Ripley Ripley decides that she's not going to let the company get their hands on the Queen chestburster. So she literally does a Jesus Christ belly flop
Yeah.
into molten lead. Uh, to suffice to say, the religious connotations were not lost here. What did you think of that ending? Did you think it was fitting for
I
the
mean, I
character?
yeah, I mean, I like how they stuck with it, and I can understand Ripley's sacrifice, even though it's kind of like, oh no, I like Ripley. Especially in this one, like each film she becomes a stronger character, and the third one is actually my favorite version of Ripley.
Yeah, I think again there is a progression and an arc where you have like the novice, the mother, and then the person who's like reflecting, like shit, I could have done something different in my life. What if I had never gone aboard the Nostromo? Because there's a lot of pondering and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a moment, like there's a moment where she's looking for the xenomorph in the basement, and I think the quote is, "I can't think of anything else. I can't remember my life before you." And
Mm-hmm.
like that's pretty fucking sad. That
Yeah,
it's like it has fucking it has etched its way into her existence and her dreams. That not even when she closes her eyes, she's safe. And it's
yeah,
just yeah,
yeah. I mean, I can get those nihilistic elements, but I just prefer not to see the movie that way. It's just like, to me, it's not a depressing movie. It's not a sad movie. It just has its own tone.
yeah. It's a fantastic movie. I implore anyone who's like been put off by reviews or put off by word of mouth, you need to check this movie out. The theatrical cut is okay. I was introduced to that and I liked it as a result. But definitely watch the restored cut if you can, and if you can try and find the Blu-ray version, because the restored cut and the DVD version, there's restored scenes, the audio. They even say in the booklet that the audio, while the audio is restored, it's still damaged, so it's still hard to make out some lines of dialogue.
Hmm.
But yeah, so Ripley sacrificed herself, and that's how the franchise ended. Cara, we got
Well,
no
but then
more
we
Alien
have,
movies. We got
yeah,
none. Um,
unless you want to get into Resurrection.
I'm going to gleam into Resurrection. So this was directed, and it's sad because this was directed by Jean Pierre Janet, who directed City of Lost Children and Delicatessen.
Uh,
Two fantastic movies.
yeah, I've
Have
seen
you seen
those.
either of them, Cara?
Yeah, I've seen both.
And you'd agree with me that they're fantastic movies, right?
They're great. I mean, I love the fantasy elements, the especially City of Lost Children. I like the surrealism. Delicatessen is just a fun movie.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to say that Janae was not the right guy for the job, but I don't know was the parameters he's given to work in were
Hmm.
they right? What did you think of Jean Pierre Jeunet Helm in this movie?
I mean, I think he did all right. I just want to blame it on the script. Like it's a weak story. It even lags in some parts.
It's That's thanks to the fucking dickhead, the poser who everyone thought was a great fucking representation of feminism. Joss fucking Whedon. Whedon wrote this
Oh,
script. Did you know
yeah.
that?
Yeah, I remember reading that and I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, he what a fucking dipshit. And so many people liked him, and so many people
Yeah,
thought
I
he was
mean,
the dog's bollocks and stuff.
well, he
Hey,
even got
Cara, we've master feeder Cara here in the chat. Sorry, Cara, other Cara. Sorry.
oh. I got confused there for a split moment until you said other Kara. It's Kara with a C and Kara
Yep.
with a K. We're doing our double thing again.
But yeah, Whedon, aye, what a prick.
Yeah, I mean, he even got knocked off of I forget which Marvel film for once he got discovered.
He real arrogant motherfucker as well. Gal Gadot, he said he was
Oh,
very disrespectful to Gal Gadot, and and was very chauvinistic towards her.
He could
And
probably
then,
she could probably beat him up in real life. Jeez.
oh, she'd kick his fucking ginger fucking arse from here to fucking Florida, probably. But like the thing was, in an interview, he goes, "Oh no, no, no! I have a very flowery way of talking, and of course, her lack of English." I'm like, "You ignorant
No,
fuck! What a shitty thing to say."
no. I mean, I don't know what he said, but it's like there's no way you can buff it over. I mean, especially if other people heard.
Yeah, you fucking bollocks. But um, d- d- but that's this is before fucking that revelation. So he even said he had issues with the script. You
Hmm.
fucking prick that he was. Um, sorry, I'm just so disappointed in that guy
Yeah, I
because
mean, I liked him. He wrote Buffy, the film and the series, and it's kind of like you're just a letdown.
Firefly, I fucking adored Firefly. A lot of elements from Firefly found their, or a lot of elements from this found their way into Firefly as well. Um, But yeah, so the movie takes place 200 years after the events of Alien 3. Scientists have gotten blood samples from Purina and cloned Ripley along with the embryonic queen. They decide to keep Ripley alive, but as a result of the cloning process, she is half a xenomorph.
Yeah,
Um,
that was a cool little reveal right there. I didn't expect that.
it was interesting. It was cool because you didn't really know where our allegiances lied,
Hmm.
but it's also I don't know they kind of wanted to turn her into a superhero, and I think the thing with Ripley again, this is as Sigourney Weaver said, this is a completely different character, but I think the
Yeah,
thing that drew people to Ripley was her humanity, and then when you turn her into an alien,
lizard woman. Yeah,
yeah, it's not that kind of
yeah.
attractive to the character. It doesn't really benefit.
No,
I didn't think it benefited the character.
I mean, like that's not my Ripley. That's something entirely different. And it's I even though yeah, you can see the animal traits and the way she carries herself, whether it's like persona, body movement, or
Hmm.
even just like the way she plays off of sexuality. But she's just too different.
Yeah, she's not the Ripley people came to kind of respect and love and appreciate, and that I think hobbled the movie.
Mhm.
Um, there are some elements I like. Um, all was a fucking treat. Ron Perlman's Johnner, this this throwback looking fucking mercenary, who's just the dude looks like a fucking Neanderthal. And again, it's Ron Perlman, but it's just I like Ron Perlman. He's just so fun. Just
He's
this
a good
almost
actor.
he's brilliant, and he collaborated with John Pierre in a number of projects, so
Yeah,
that's
I
what
just
brought him on
remember
board.
City of Lost Children. He was in that one.
Mm. But he was fun in that, and he's like, just some of the fucking the lines where it's like, "Okay, John, are you gonna have to fly the ship? Fly the ship! I just fucking hurt people." It's like I like lines like that, and it's like when Ripley destroy the really tense moment. It hobbles us. Any other actor would say this line, it would wreck a really serious moment. But there's a scene where Ripley kills the clones, the failed clones. It's a really
Yeah.
emotional scene. She's bawling her eyes out, and Call, who's kind of standoffish with her, finally actually kind of softens to Ripley. And then Johnner comes in, and he's just his arms up against the door, and he's like, "I don't get it, man. It's fucking waste of ammo. Must be a chick tin." I just like the delivery of that as well. That was good. Um,
Um, yeah, I mean, what did you think about the addition of Winona Ryder? Did she help the film? Did she hurt the film?
I didn't hate the character Call, but I just I she didn't add anything to it, but she didn't take it away. Um, I get the whole thing that there was they had to have a synthetic in it, and I
Yeah,
the idea was she was an auton. She was a synthetic that was more human than humans. Um, the her performance was a bit whingy
hmm,
in some parts. It's like, just fucking giving Ripley shit, giving the crew shit. She just always seemed to be complaining about something.
kind of like a teenager.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, we can't take her with us. She's the one who bred the things, and it's like for fuck's sake, just give us a minute. It's like going to the beach with your fucking 3-year-old niece. It's just shh. I'm gonna turn the car around, kind of fucking
Oh
thing.
lordy. Even though you know they're not turning the car.
Yeah, it's but it's I didn't hate her, but she definitely didn't. She didn't help anything in the movie. Like even
Yeah.
the reveal with her being a synthetic really kind of felt. I don't know. It didn't really feel
It
any kind of.
it didn't, yeah, add anything, like especially that weird scene where she had liquefied the water and she was using gloves to try and pick up the glass to drink with. I'm like, I think even for a synthetic, she would have had enough sense to not do that.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. Now maybe it was just her trying to blend in and stuff. I couldn't fucking. I couldn't. I don't know.
My first thought was she should have put dirty pictures on her wall.
Yeah. It would have probably made more fucking sense. Like even like the other thing that pissed me off as well is right. So she goes into the cell to kill Ripley, and all of a sudden you don't know if she's going to SA or fucking rip her to pieces. And I'm thinking the whole time, right, later on in the movie, is like, how come Ripley didn't pick up that she wasn't human? I
Yeah,
mean,
that makes sense.
Ripley's like fucking her Ripley 8. I mean, her xenomorph powers. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, she really was different. I like that one scene where she throws the basketball into the hoop without looking, and Sigourney Weaver actually did that
yeah,
after numerous takes.
she did. She wouldn't stop until she did it, and people are like, Jesus, we're gonna be here half the day. But she got it for a finish. Um, I love the actor, and he's having fun. Brad Dorff is an absolute fucking delight
Oh
in this
yeah.
movie as well. It's like, does he want to fuck those things? It's just he's putting his face to the glass. And he's like, he doesn't expect him to lift his shirt and rub his nipple onto the
Oh
fucking
Lordy.
window, like.
I forgot what I know Ace Ventura like parodied the original film. I don't even remember what that movie was.
The Crying Game.
Was it? I've
Maybe
seen
I'm
The
wrong,
Crying Game, but I don't remember that.
but yeah, no, character of Gidman was fun, and who was the other? Wren? Morrison Wren was the other scientist, and like the two of them just fucking messing with Ripley, and like fucking. I, this line really pisses me off, but this is the nerd in me because, oh, Ed Ripley's like everyone in the company will die, and Gidman's like the company, and Ren comes and goes, oh, Will and Yutani, they were bought out by Walmart, and I'm like,
What?
fuck you, fucking dickhead, fucking shit.
I guess because Walmart has a reputation for not being that great a company also.
Fucking is like spoils of war, spoils of the corporation war. I'm like, fucking dickhead, go away. Yeah, that got my craw big time. I just annoyed me. Um, what did you think of the newborn?
I thought that was actually cool how it turned out having human traits
Hmm.
as well as alien, but what threw me off was that the fact that the queen, which is now giving human birth, she had the belly and everything, and then he rips her face off. Like he doesn't acknowledge her as his biological mother.
Like I think it's some kind of inside out fucking kind of thing where it's
Yeah.
like the queen was in Ripley, the queen is born, grows, and gives birth to what's essentially Ripley's baby.
Mm-hmm. It just makes no sense. Like, how'd you get twisted around like that? Like, okay, the Queen was originally part of Ripley, and then they melted together and they became the same thing. So, wouldn't you think that the baby wouldn't have a problem with the Queen because he would acknowledge she has two moms?
I, I like I've scoured, and you know me, Cara. I've scoured fucking in universe kind of books like the Wayland Yutani archive and stuff like that. I
Mm-hmm.
still can't find a fucking explanation for it. When hardcore nerds who write the fucking in universe lore can't think up of a way to fucking fit this into canon, you know there's a fucking issue.
Yeah.
Like, um
Yeah, I mean, I did like the baby reveal. I didn't expect the Queen having her face ripped off. I thought, to me it was a shock. Like I was actually shocked that an inhuman character was hurt.
yeah, it's like, and then it starts mewing like a
Oh yeah.
kitten. I'm like, what the fuck? And
But
then
he can't feed off
one,
of Ripley, so what did he expect?
yeah, it's like my favorite bit as well is where Brad Dorf's get him and is like, "You're a beautiful butterfly." I'm
Oh
like,
yeah. Um,
fucking hell, Jesus Christ.
totally warped.
Eh, Um, my favorite kill in it is kind of a cool kill. It's kind of like a heroic death. I say heroic death. Leland Doiser's character, Purvis, who was one of the colonists that was kidnapped by the Betty's crew, he has a chest burster in him,
Hmm.
and Ren wants to steal the Betty ship, and like he holds Call hostage, and all of a sudden, fucking Purvis is about to fucking chest burst. So he uses the last of his energy to pull fucking Ren's head in front of his chest, and the
Oh,
chest burster just goes through his
right through.
chest and through his fucking skull. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that's pretty clever actually. No, I vaguely remember that, but yeah.
There's even a cool bit where Leland Eiser's character, Purvis, is looking up. He's screaming, his mouth's open, and the camera goes down. It goes down his esophagus, and it just sees the chest burster screaming as it's about to fucking emerge. And I'm like, okay, that was a cool bit. Um, it's a mess of a movie, I think.
It is. It feels more like it had the problems that Alien 3 had, except it didn't succeed.
Yeah, like at least Alien 3 had a consistency to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's other things as well, where like Christy gets fucking burnt with acid, and he gets burnt in the face with acid, and he decides to cut himself loose from Reese, the paraplegic, and it's like, dude, you got burnt in the face with acid. Just fucking hold on to another run of the struts, and like he cuts himself loose and drops into the water. No one's like, should we go down and see if he's still alive? Like he only got burnt in the face. Like I don't know. I thought that was kind of weird as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, Alien Resurrection. Eh, you know,
Least favorite one.
it is. I think it's better than Covenant though. I don't want to get into the other two because we'll be here till
Um,
angels trumpet.
yeah, I mean, if you feel like it, we can always do those two another time. Plus, it gives me a chance to rewatch.
Yeah, like I know Romulus is out next year, so maybe we could fucking pile in Romulus there because apparently that's Fiat Alvarez's next one.
Oh, okay. Hmm.
Uh, I do like the fact though that we went from 1979 Giger's fucking sexual killing machine to Kenner toys, video
Mm-hmm.
games, Funko Pops. It's like, I like that Kenner released action figures of something that had a penis for a head and razor
Gender?
sharp teeth. I love that. You know?
Hmm. I didn't know about that. I only had the plush. the Alien 3 plush with the extended mouth.
The thing is, that stuff, like this lady here and some of my bits, they're for adult collectors. But the great thing about Kenner back in the day is like Kenner knew that kids were watching these movies. They're like, yeah, we'll pretend that there's cartoon tie-ins for these. And if a cartoon comes out, well and good. And if it doesn't, fuck, we'll still sell the toys. You could get
And they
Terminator
did.
action figures
Mm-hmm.
for kids. You could get RoboCop, Rambo, and Alien figures.
Hopefully some smart person tucked one of those original ones away and still has it.
Oh, oh, uh, bear with me. Be right back. Hold the fort for 2 seconds.
Let's see. I don't know if I can switch screens while I'm in mobile. It usually kicks me out. So I'm not sure if there are any other comments. I'm in StreamYard, so I'm not able to view comments here. But I'm trying to jump over really quick to see if I can see. Okay, can everyone still hear me? I did see a comment asking if I would ever consider doing Monster House. I've been wanting to do that one for years as part of the Halloween what would you call it, gateway horror or the kiddie movies that I have done before. It's also one of my yearly traditions that I like to watch Monster House as well as, like Casper and Mad Mad Monster Party. I mean, those are my go-to movies. Um, Let me see. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Do I still have audio, Marty?
Yep, you do.
Oh, okay. Yeah, someone had asked if we would ever consider doing Monster House.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting animated one. Hang on 1 second. That's an interesting one to do actually, because it's animated. Um,
And it's not
so,
really a kid's film. That's the funny part.
yeah, it's a lot darker than you think.
Like
It's
getting drunk off of cough syrup, for example.
it actually reminded me more of a fucking Tales from the Crypt episode.
Hmm.
Okay, so Cara, you know what Lance Henriksen looks like, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does this chap here look like Lance Henriksen?
No, that looks more like Johnny Bravo.
The fantastic thing is they tried their best. I don't know if you can see it there. To they got a photo of Henriksen from the movie and put really bad paint shop pro tins onto him to make him look like the action figure. So yeah, these were what you could get back in the day.
Ah,
This was the Queen,
oh, that's
and
beautiful.
then God knows why, you have a crab alien. I don't know. I can't remember any crabs in the movie, and
It was the actors.
and then you have another Queen alien that it's
I
like
don't remember anyone flying.
no, but yeah, Kenner were like, hey kids, did you like R-rated movies? Buy the toys. Yeah, it's just Kenner were fucking. I loved them. They were brazen as fuck. That wasn't their first foray into the franchise, though. They originally released a 10-inch xenomorph from the original movie Alien
Oh,
in
wow.
1980, which goes for an absolute fucking mint nowadays. Parents didn't buy it because yeah, it was a walk-in penis with teeth. So like, so they kind of learned their lesson and made them more kind of more awesome Hulk-like looking creatures, you know. But yeah, you had fucking poor old Lance Henriksen looking. Well, he was going to be the Terminator, but he looked like the fucking Terminator in action figure form. Look, Bishop never used a Gatling gun. When the fuck did Bishop ever use a Gatling gun?
They
Aye,
made it up.
aye. But yeah. Uh, Bronson Wright Wolf, would you ever consider reviewing Scooby Doo on Zombie Island or
I
Scooby's
love that
Ghost?
one. Yeah, I mean, I would probably do that as part of my Halloween films also, where I like to do kid films during Halloween because year round we're so focused on like the horror, or some people like to do hardcore horror. And I'm like, I just like to do something different because it's like I watch horror movies all year, so it's like why not review something different?
Yeah, it's like, Halloween isn't just for adults who want fucking gore fest. It's nice when you can kind of explore something that a younger generation or something that isn't the same fucking slasher movie over and over again. Like,
Yeah.
there's only so many times you can see Michael Myers stab someone in the back of the head with a scissors.
Yeah. And even then I imagine it gets old, but I mean, for yourself, would you consider the Scooby-Doo?
Um, I for me, kind of now it's not a kids movie per se, but I showed my niece and nephew and they liked it. Monster Squad.
Ah, that's a good one too.
Yeah, it's the Goonies essentially with fucking
Would you
Universal
believe I
monsters.
haven't seen the Goonies?
I watched it. I liked it. I got into a philosophical debate with someone over the Goonies, saying, "Is it right that you used someone with a mental impairment to help them find treasure?" I'm like, "The fuck? What? Why? Do you sit around thinking about this shit?" He's like, "Yeah, I
It's
do."
an 80s movie.
He's
Settle
like,
down.
"I know." He's like, "It wasn't right what they did to that guy." And it's like, God damn it, Jesus Christ!
Okay,
They're
so you're
after
arguing that he was exploited by children?
Yes, yes, he was.
That's ridiculous. I mean, couldn't you just read it as he was a big kid too? I mean, that's why he's part of the group.
Oh, Jesus. No, just some people look too fucking deep into things. You know,
Yeah.
just have fun with the fucking thing. But yeah, no, I I have a bunch of these because I'm a big child. I ended up collecting a majority of them in
Mm.
my later years, but this I got when I was 11. So yeah, again, this fucking killer sexual fucking killing machine was an action figure available to an 11-year-old. So like, yeah, fuck it. Why not?
Maybe it's me, but the queen doesn't seem as sexual as the soldiers do.
Well, in fairness, she does have boob hands.
Boob hands. I haven't noticed.
She's hand boobies. So like, it's only fair. Hey, you try grabbing my boobs, I'm gonna grab yours.
Oh yeah,
Fucking
she kind of has like that full hand grasp shape.
it's like, ah. But yeah, no, yeah, that's the OG Alien movies, and I think the first three definitely hold up. Um, I don't know about Resurrection. It's definitely better than some of the newer stuff. Hopefully, Fox seem to have learned their lesson with Prey. They seem to have realized that you don't need to go over the top and bombastic if you have a good solid story.
Hmm.
So with Prey, they kind of realized, let's pare things down and just go to the essence of what made the franchise good. And hopefully they'll do that with Fiat Alvarez's Alien Romulus.
Mm. Yeah, but let me see. I don't know if it's getting too late for you. Like over here, it's 9:22 my time.
It is 3:22 my time.
Oh, okay. So are you? I know you said you had another stream to do after this one. I don't know if I've pushed you over.
Um, I'll, you know what, I'll stick around for about 8 more minutes if you
Oh,
want.
okay. It's up to you. I
No,
I
I'm,
just
I'm
I
oh,
have to remind myself you're on a different time zone.
no, you're grand. I drank a full bottle of Dr. Pepper, so I'll be buzzing for a bit. But I am going to dust off at past because I just want to touch base with Jen if that's okay,
No,
Cara.
no worries. I was actually going to ask if you have anything upcoming that you wanted to promote.
Um, Myself and Jen are going to do a trash fire on my channel.
Hmm.
Um, we're thinking. I wanted to pick something that basically Jen is always saying I always pick kind of just action movie kind of stuff or
Hmm.
guy movie stuff. So I decided I was gonna pick Willy Millie. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Imagine big, but instead of turning into an adult, it's a girl who becomes a boy.
No, I haven't heard of that one.
um, Essentially, she gets a coin from her cousin, and she gets annoyed that her she won't be let onto the baseball team. She flips the coin as a star is falling, and when she wakes up in the morning, she has a penis.
Yeah,
So it's again, it's essentially big with
I
with
uh,
with a penis instead of adulthood.
I I had a dream like that once, and to my surprise, I wasn't weirded out by it.
Did you try standing up the next time you had to use the jacks, or did you
No,
just
no, it was just some random dream. It's like, and I was still, I want to say junior high age. I was still pretty young, and it's like, why in the world would I dream that?
People have weird fucking dreams. I
Yeah.
I thought my organs were cheese. A weird dream where I thought my organs were fucking cheese. Although with my diet they probably are.
Oh, but let me see. On my end, let me see. I kept trying to say Dracula Renfield that I'm doing with Hey Internet Eric. So that's what we'll be live streaming on Saturday regular time.
I look forward to that because um I like again you kind of you do some fantastic collabs, and Eric is one of the dudes who just is an absolute joy to collab with.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. We did Cocaine Bear the first time.
Yeah, I done Alien 3, Ninja Turtles, and Predator 2 with him, and I also done Predators with him, Mike Tarm, and Mike from New Jersey.
Yeah, I've only collaborated with him twice. The Jersey Wolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, both times we spoke about Seven, but I don't know. I'd be curious to see if he'd be interested in coming on. I know mine's a smaller channel.
Oh, Jesus, Mike is fucking awesome. If you ask it, if you give him enough kind of head, if you give him enough of a heads up, he's very kind of accommodating.
Hmm. That's good to know. Yeah, I mean, I have a list of movies that I'm considering for next month, which is coming up really quick, and I haven't other than Lady Sasha, which we haven't decided on a movie yet. She had suggested Cobwebs, so we'll probably do that one.
Jen loves that movie, and she told me to tell you to definitely check out me. Oh Christ, I'm after forgetting the title. Fan. Jen reviewed it there the other night. You asked me on Twitter if
Oh,
it was
Mother May I?
yes. She's saying definitely check it out because it's very interesting movie.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's IFC, I would definitely check it out.
Christians Christian said it felt like an IFC movie, but it wasn't. But it had
Oh,
very much a very avant-garde kind of IFC um, criterion feel to it.
well, you had me at avant-garde.
But yeah, no, I'm kind of just wondering, is there something else coming out this year that I'm looking forward to? I can't think any horrors or anything at the moment. I'm still kind of looking forward to.
Let me see. I know we had considered doing I forget, there was another one that you suggested, and then I had also said, would you
You
like to
you
give
wanted
it?
to do Vi
Yes.
because that's kind of folk horror kind of
Hmm.
alley, and I love my folk horror, and
Yeah.
you know your stuff when it comes to that, so I definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, I mean, I believe there's still a copy of it on YouTube. I don't know how good it is, or if you have Shudder, it's on there also.
You'll actually laugh your ass off. Where I find a lot of my movies, and they're broken into segments, but it doesn't bother me.
Hmm.
Daily Motion,
Ah, okay. I use that sometimes.
and like I know sometimes, like I was trying to find a copy of the stop motion Willis O'Brien stop motion classic Black Scorpion, and that was on Daily Motion. So it's again, it's like it's a good source to check out stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll have to remember that. I used to use them quite a bit.
Mm. But yeah, I that's basically all for me. I probably got some figure reviews in the pipeline as well. I know that I've ordered the Predator from Prey. I'm going to be reviewing that, and I might do my video game reviews. Seem to have done really popular, so I might do a couple more retro game reviews as well.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a niche on YouTube for gamers.
Um, if I do the next one, I might do is Legacy of Kain. They're absolutely gorgeous game. I think that those games should have spawned an entire franchise because they imagine if J.R. Tolkien and Anne Rice had a love child.
Oh,
That's what the Legacy of Kain games are like.
huh. That sounds interesting.
They're awesome, and there's a splash of Lovecraft for good measure as well in those games.
Hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm not much of a gamer, so I'm not too familiar.
No, just back in the day, when I was younger, I kind of had a very small contingent of friends. So, like in my younger days, I was mainly glued to the PlayStation or the NES. So,
Mm-hmm.
Cara, I'm probably going to dust off, so I will chat you uh when I see you next. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and right now is a good stopping point for myself later. So, um, that as always, that's all we have for you guys today, and we will talk to you later.
Bye bye.